It's time to have your best year ever. Yes, we are going to have our best year ever in 2025. And I'm going to tell you 7 things that I think you need to do to have your best year ever. Now, this best year is going to be financial and also just the best year. And so let's talk about it. So welcome back, where I teach you how to build on social media, make money online, and basically have your best year ever. Today, we're going to be talking about 7 things you need to do to have your best year ever. Now, I do want to preface this by saying that we're going to talk about financials, about how to have your best money year. But in order to have your best money year, it's you. Right? Because you can try to make all the money in the world, but if you are not on the right track with yourself and all these different things, then it's really hard to go from wherever you are financially to where you want to be. Right? So like for us in our company, we are going after our best financial year ever next year, but also our best year ever for our team, not financially, but they're going to get paid. But how can they have their best life and our company be one of those reasons why they are having that experience? And so the same journey that I'm taking us on, I want to take you on in this video. All right. So first things first, before you can have your best year ever, or before I can give you my 7 tips, you've got to assess 2024. Now, I know you're like, it was terrible. Listen, that could be true, but I need you to really assess 2024. What was terrible about it in terms of here is the best year you want to have. This was the worst year, if that's your case. Assess what was not so great about it, okay? But then the second thing, I need you to assess what was great about it, okay? So what was great, what was not so great. Then I want you to assess why were these things so great? Like what was it that you had in place or did or what happened to you that caused these things to be so great? Then I want you to determine, here are these things that were not great, right? Why were they not so great? Like if you didn't make the amount of money you wanted to make, why? Was it because of your job? Was it because of recession? What, like details? Because in order to flip this to be in the best year, we have to fully assess what did not go well, right? Because when I give you the 7 things, you've got to be able to put all those things in place and start doing those things so that it makes sense. Like for example, our big, hairy, audacious goal for 2025 is 1 million followers on Instagram. Big goal, right? So before we can go after that goal, we have been assessing, well, what are we doing well on Instagram, right? Then we're like, what are we doing not so well? The not so well stuff did not feel good. Right. And then we had to go, okay, how did we go from this to 32,000? Right. And then we had to go, why are these things not going well? Okay. And then now we're like, okay, let's look at what does it take in order for us to go from 32,000 followers to 1 million? What does that look like? And then we building the infrastructure to kind of make that happen. And then we will start going after 1 million followers on Instagram in 25, right? So we can't go there and we can't really assess what is broken. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's get into it. So the first thing that you want to do in order to have the best year ever in 2025 is you have to identify, what does your best year ever look like? Okay. What does that look like to you? Like realistically, like if you're making $100,000 right now, it's hard to go from 100,000 to 1 million because you got to make the 100, right? Then you got to make an additional 900,000. Not saying you can't do it, but it's just hard to go from 100,000 to 1 million, right? So what does your best year ever look like? Let's just say you're like, I want to go from $100,000 a year to 350. Great. Right? So then you have that number of financially, like, well, how do you actually want to make that money? Right? Like I'm looking at my little thing here, like, how do you actually want to make that money? So if you want to make 350, how? Do you want to make it through consulting, through brand collaborations, through views to your content, speaking? How do you want to make that? Right? Because like we have a financial goal for our company and I had to go, what do we offer? right? And then how can we get to that number the fastest, right? And then we develop the strategy to get to there. So first of all, what is that number, okay? And then how do you want to make that money? Now, let's just say your best year ever is you are traveling the world. Great. That's part of my best year next year as well. And so in order for me to be able to go and travel, I've got to look at, well, how come I couldn't travel in 2024 as much, right? I did a lot of speaking, but like traveling, like vacationing. How come I couldn't do that then? One of the things that I assessed was that I created a job. I made my business into a job, working 9 to 5. My team works 9 to 5. So I said, all right, we're going to put in a 4-day work week. So now we're off on Fridays, right? Then I said, okay, we've got to build the infrastructure to where all of us can work in our own time. Like the people in the Philippines will work on Philippine time. The girl in Indonesia will work on an Indonesian time, right? And then I will work the schedule that I want to work so that I can travel, right? Because this is my business, right? But before I could have my best year ever next year, I had to go, what's broken? Right? What is broken that is going to keep me from having that, right? So I had to go, well, how can my team have that? I want it. So that means what I put in place for me, I need to put in place for them. My team is floored. They are like so excited about the fact of making the same amount of money, working in their time zone and having more time freedom, right? So I had to assess what does my best year look like. So it looks like traveling to Italy is the goal, and then potentially Philippines for my friend's 50th birthday. And then I'll have a team retreat in the Philippines for my team that's there. So Philippines and Italy, that's the goal for me, okay? So the second thing that you want to do in order to have your best year ever is that you have to determine who you need to help you with that. Okay? Who you need to help you with that. Here's the deal. Again, my goal is to make more money, 1 million followers on Instagram, and to travel. Who do I need? I need multiple social media managers. Okay? So we've always try to have one, and then we realized it's way too much work for one person. And we needed very strategic people that would be a part of our marketing / social media team. So once we started to really find what we needed and looked for, we found them too. So then instead of just throwing them on social media, I said, all right, we need to spend time learning these people, learning how they think. And so instead of just training initially, we're like, okay, do this little task. Let me see. And then let me evaluate it. And then do this task and then do this task. And what we've been doing is we've been training as they're working, right? And it's been so life-giving for them because they're not just thrown to the wolves. And it's been so life-giving for us because we're not like throwing them into our stuff and not really knowing what they're good at and what they're not so good at, right? And so as we've been doing that, a lot of their giftings are coming out and we're like, whoa. Like one of the girls, I said, I want you to create a diagram for this and let me see. She gave me that diagram and I said, Hoppo, who this woman? I was like, wow, this is incredible. My assistant was like, thank God, right? Because my assistant is overloaded. So I decided that in order for me to have my best year ever, I needed to hire 2 social media people, but one of those people needed to be very, very operational like so that she could take some of the load off my assistant. And that's exactly what we got in one of the new girls. And so in addition to that, I needed to hire a coach, not long term, but for a short period so she could see, here is the product where we want to make the bulk of our money in 2025. We need you to break it down. We need you to tear it all the way down and help us rebuild it so that we can hit our goals with that. So we paid a lot of money and the person was like, okay, I can see this and I can see what's wrong here. And now they are working on rebuilding all the things so that we can launch and hit our goals with that particular main product, which is going to be our membership, where we're going to coach people very strategically. We're going to coach some people just with video, and then we're going to coach others with their businesses, and they are going to be, the goal is to make 100,000 women become millionaires. That's the goal. And with this new offer, it's going to help way more women be able to do it a lot faster. So I recognized I needed team members that were strategic, and I needed a coach to kind of fine tweak some things. The third thing that you need in order to have your best year ever is that you need to set goals. Okay. Yes, you have the end of the year, December 31st, 2025, but you've got to set some goals that you can track. Okay. You got to have quarterly goals, you got to have monthly goals, and you got to have weekly goals. Okay. So for example, if we're going to hit 1 million followers on Instagram, like let me do the math really quickly. Where's my calculator? So it sounds kind of crazy when I say it. But I'm going to do 1 million. Let me see, is that 1 million? Oh, yeah, 1 million minus 32,000. Okay, that means we need 968,000 followers in 2025. So if we divide that by 365 days, that means we need to add 2,652 followers per day. Now, that may sound crazy, right? I get that, but we need to know what that looks like, right? So if we need to have 2,650 new followers a day, then that means every single week we need to be adding 18,564 followers to my Instagram account. How in the world is that going to happen? Well, first of all, we got to know the goal, right? We got to know what needs to happen quarterly, monthly, weekly. Right? So then as we're creating this strategic viral content, we're able to assess like what is happening, okay? From if we're on track for those goals. If we are not on track after like a month or 2 months or 3 months and a quarter, then we got to go, all right, we need to be even more strategic with the content that we're creating that is causing people to follow us. Does that make sense? And as crazy as it may sound, I know how to go viral, which is how I teach my clients, right? So we had a client add 80,000 followers in 3 days. So it's not unheard of, we just have to know our numbers and be strategic. So in terms of like the financial numbers, if the goal is, let's just say our goal is $750,000 by the end of the year, then I got to go, okay, how much do we need to make in first quarter, second quarter, or what have you? What do we need to make weekly or monthly in order to get those goals? Because without knowing that, we just set this number and we're not actually tracking it. We don't really know if it's working, if it's not working, and things of that nature. So you've got to set some goals, okay? And you've got to be diligent about checking that analytics and all these different things to make sure what you want to have happen is happening, right? Because otherwise you'll get to the end of the year and you're like, oh, it didn't happen. That's not what we want. That's why we want you to set realistic goals, but that are good, big goals for you. And then you can go after them. Number 4, the fourth thing you need in order to have your best year ever is that you have to make sure that your best year is not just all money related. Okay, you have to make sure that your best year is not all money related. So that's why my best year ever for 2025 is I lose 50 pounds, right? I'm paying all these high end people to tell me what's going on the inside of my body so I can hit my goals, right? I'm adjusting my life and my lifestyle to have time for the gym, time for my favorite type of classes. I'm investing money in better foods, all these other things that I need, supplements, so on and so on and so on, right? But in addition to my best year ever, it's travel. So I have to go, okay, I've got to look at my calendar and say, I'm going to the Philippines on this date. I'm going to Italy on this date. Okay. And then actually book the trips, right? So I said that for Christmas, I wanted to do something special. So I decided I'm going on a cruise, solo cruise for a week. And what did I have to do? I had to book the trip. Right. And then I booked the trip and I was like, y'all, I'm taking a week off and y'all can have a week off too. Right. So now if I want to do those types of things, I got to book it. Okay. I got to set it and I got to book it. And when it comes to making sure you're not just doing things that are money related, is because if you just go after money, you're going to be miserable at some point in time. One of the things I realized I did very badly this year is I didn't take breaks throughout the year. I just worked. I may have taken a break here and there, a day or two when I was traveling, but I really needed just a break for myself to just do nothing work related, nothing money related, nothing. And I did not do that. And I'm like, and I can feel it now at the end of the year because I didn't take these breaks. And so I'm like, okay, definitely taking a break in June, July for the Philippines. And then I'm like, which one of these times am I going to go to Italy? I got to decide that, so I got to look into what is Italy like in Christmas. Like, 'cause I love Christmas. So like my goal is to always do something around Christmas time. I've got to figure out when I want to take that trip to Italy. And then guess what? Then I got to plan it. Okay. So you need time away from your financial goal, right? You need time to just be free, to recuperate, to let your creativity, you need the time Okay. But you also need things that are just good for you. Like weight loss is amazing for me. My body is like, hey, hello. And I'm like, I got it. I got you. I get what you're saying. Got it. Right. But also I'm trying to make time for friendships. Right. So there are people that I've been connecting with online and I'm like, I really want to spend some time with that person. How can I get to that person's city? I haven't seen my best friend in person in a long time. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to connect with her and say, I want to possibly speak at a conference in Atlanta and see if they can fly me to Atlanta for their conference. And I want to stay at some extra days to come spend time with her, right? Strategic, right? So I've got to do things that have nothing to do with money. All right, let's get to number 5. Number 5 is building breaks for creativity, connecting, and having fun, right? So that's why I was just saying with number 4, you got to build in time for creativity, for connecting, and having fun. It's imperative because otherwise you just burn out. Like so many people went through so much burnout over the last couple of years because there's just no time for connection, creativity, any of that, right? Like people online are amazed by me doing all these different things, like going to all these different events and meeting these strangers and stuff, because I'm like, no, I need time away from my house, from my cats, and from work. And that looks like me creating time and space to do those things because I deserve it. Right. And because without it, we're just digging an early grave and I don't want that. All right. Number 6, if you need to move. Okay. If in order for you to have your best year ever, if you need to move. I'm not talking about move your body. I'm talking about move your city, move your state, move your country. Okay. Now listen, y'all know I'm a Christian. So talk to God about it. Okay. But if God's telling you to move. I had a hard year this year because I went through surgery and I've been just trying to recalibrate, but it's also been a really good year. Okay. Like no man has ever hit on me since divorce. God moved me back to Houston and my God, all the men are just like, she's a lady. Whoa. They are in love with me in Houston. And I'm like, yes, God. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for the move, right? I'm not doing anything crazy or anything like that. I'm just saying. And it has become like my best year, right? Now that I'm planning for 2025, I'm so excited about all the other things I could be doing to just connect with people. Like there's so many events that I'm like signing up for in Houston to just go to and experience and have a good time. That's nothing work related, where people don't know anything about my online audience, but it's me just being me and having a good time. So if you need to move to have your best year ever, move. And then the final thing, you need to go to therapy. I know people don't want to hear that. I know it. You need to go to therapy. You are taking you into 2025. Okay. Who you are today is coming into 2025. And more than likely, you got some aspects of you that need a professional to talk to. You got some aspects of you that needs a professional to talk to. Listen, I just booked, excuse me. Today, I'm booking my call with my therapist. Again, I've been with her for 10 years. And I'm like, hey, let's work through some things that I'm like uncovering during my time of fasting. And let's work through it. Why am I doing that? I care about me. I want me to be the best me for me. Forget everybody else. For me. Everybody else will just get my cup as it runs over. But if my cup is empty, I'm like, you know what? Let's work through this. And I want to talk to my therapist about, hey, I'm going on a cruise by myself for a week. And it feels exciting, but it feels really sad that I'm not going home with my family because my family it's chaotic, very bad for me when I go. I want to work through the fact that, okay, now that I've had this big surgery, now I'm like working through the fact of like what the consequences of my surgery or whatever, you know what I mean? And I relocated to Houston. I'm trying to, now let's work through the fact that like I'm dating again. I'm not dating anyone, but I'm going on dates again. And I'm like, I just want to talk to a therapist about me and where I am here and continuing, right? Because I'm like, I want my best year ever, which means I have to be my best. So I told you, weight loss, taking care of all things that pertain to me, my home, my cats, my relationships. When my family reaches out to me, I talk to them. I used to always be the one reaching out, flying home and all that. Now I give them the freedom to reach out when they are ready to reach out to me. And then I do respond to them. You know what I mean? When people want to connect with me, I'm having conversations. I'm having lunch with people that I don't know, and I'm just doing these different things, but I'm allowing myself to go to therapy to be the best version of myself, because the best version of me is this too. It's my heart and it's my head too. Does that make sense? I'm in a church where I'm constantly feeling like, woo, child. Yep, God, you are right. Let's course correct here, and allowing myself to grow and evolve, because you can make all the money in the world, but if you're miserable, you're just miserable, right? We all have seen celebrities who are very rich but very sad, and oftentimes because we got to deal with us in order to be able to, like, we can't give people whatever, we got to give it to ourselves first, and then we can give to others. You know what I mean? So that's it. That's my 7 things I think you need to do to have your best year ever. I want to know what you think. Tell me here in the comments what you think. I would love to know. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be teaching you all year long about having your best year ever, making more money, and having your best life. So thanks so much for watching.